I must admit the quality of the audio for this episode is not up to par, and that's totally my fault. But I guarantee the information that you receive from this episode will definitely outweigh the quality of the audio. So if you're looking to be on the defense with your finances, I would definitely stay tuned until after the music. You're about to listen to a great episode of the Laz and B Experience podcast. Within this episode, my hope is that you obtain something that will help you find your success. So grab a pen, get your paper, your favorite snack or drink, and really listen to what I have to say. I truly believe it can be what you need to get you to your next level in life. So grab a seat and enjoy the ride, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to another episode of the Laz and B Experience podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Today is definitely going to be a great episode, especially for those who are looking for ways to increase their chances of building family wealth. Today I have a very special guest, and I'm going to say this every time, but all my guests are special. But they're special because I specifically picked them out because they are experts or they have things that I feel that can help build family wealth, help build your success in whichever way you're trying to build your success. So my today's guest is a friend I've been known for quite a while now. We went to NIU together. We're both part of NSBE. We have quite a bit of history, and he actually just helped me get what I'm going to be what we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, I do want to introduce my guest today, Mr. Dwayne Wilson. How are you doing?
I am phenomenal. Josh, it's been a pleasure knowing you for all these years, and I appreciate you, my brother, for reaching out and allowing me to share some positive feedback to you and your audience.
Yes, definitely. Now, like I said before, I think this is going to be a great episode. If you can't tell by the title, today we're going to be talking about the importance of financial defense. And I know a lot of people might not know exactly what that means, but we're going to get into it. So without further ado, let's get to the first question. So Dwayne, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you the expert we should go to when it comes to financial defense.
Okay, well, how about I go ahead and start off where you had mentioned how we met, right? We started at NIU. Graduated with my degree in mechanical engineering. Then where that's really where it kicked off, because I thought I knew what I wanted to do in life or where my career path was going. Landed a job as a project engineer in the aerospace industry. And literally 2 years in, I was like, yeah, nah, I don't want to be an engineer. I really want to know more about the business. And so then that's what led me to get promoted into program management and so on and so forth. What really allowed me to consider myself an expert in this field is because of the self-study, right? I think that a lot of us, we must recognize that we have to study outside of the classroom or outside of the workplace to really start to hone in on a craft. And so when I realized engineering wasn't the path for me, I said, hey, I need to know more about business. I need to know more about finances. And just over years and years of studying and networking with the what you would call the 1 or 5 percenters, I've been able to acquire a tremendous amount of knowledge on the subject of finance, and more specifically financial defense.
Yes. So this is not a question that we discussed, but are you using anything that you learned through your engineering degree right now?
Am I using anything I've learned in my engineering degree?
Or anything you learned while in college?
While in college, honestly speaking, I would say that it boils for me the soft skills I've learned, and that's because, as you mentioned earlier, being a part of NSBE, being a part of other organizations, being involved on campus, I think has allowed me to develop the soft or personal skills in order for me to be successful in my business and helping other businesses and other individuals thrive as well. But in terms of the technical, the Pythagorean theorem and and the Bernoulli's equation when it comes fluid dynamics. No.
Yeah, definitely. So I just wanted to ask just to see your point of view when it comes, because I actually had someone else talk about how they can kind of pivot from what they got the degree into what they want to work on. So just wanted to get your point of view on that. But getting back to the topic at hand, what do you mean when you talk when you say financial defense? What is the definition?
All right. So the very, very just straight to the point. Financial defense pretty much says, hey, if your average market, i.e. stock market, we can look at the NASDAQ, S&P 500, let's just say the US economy as a whole. If the US economy is tanking in terms of its value, do you have a defense in your portfolio, so therefore your portfolio value doesn't go along with the market?
Okay.
That's what we mean by financial defense.
Okay. So can you give us some examples of having financial defense, or some examples of financial defense?
All right. So one way that you can implement a financial defensive strategy is by having multiple streams of income. Okay, so let's just say I'm going to keep this, this discussion where we have majority maybe working a job, right? So, yep, that's one stream of income.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have in that one stream of income? A lot of times, if you only have that stream of income, your 401k is that's all probably you're doing for retirement. So that's essentially that's your only portfolio. So if that's your only portfolio and the stock market goes down, well, guess what? Your portfolio is going down. So what you need to have your defense strategy, number one, may want to be another stream of income. So, hey, if the stock market goes down, your investment portfolio goes down, but you have other streams of income to support that. So your overall portfolio is not going down. So that's the strategy number one. And then number two is what we like to call, and this has been around for centuries now, is life insurance policies. If you have a permanent insurance policy that's allowing you to accrue cash value, that is not tied to the stock market. So literally your stock market, the economy can be crumbling or it can be going into a negative retracement, but your cash value remains the same, if not more, in that same year, even while the market may be going down.
Yeah, definitely. And I have questions about life insurance and all that, so we're gonna get to that. But before we get to that, so this episode is about financial defense, but I thought we should also talk about financial offense and what is that. So can you talk about a little bit of being, I guess, having financial offense, if I'm saying that correctly, and some examples of that?
I got you. So the way that I help people become to take the offensive approach when it comes to the market, that simply boils down to understanding what investments can you make, or what opportunities can you capitalize on while you're going into a bull run, right? So, for example, if we was to look at the S&P 500 over the past 20 years, you would say that it's been doing phenomenal. So yes, you could have just put your money into the S&P 500 index in your 401k, and you would be doing tremendously well right now. But when you want to take an offensive approach, your thought process is always, I've made more money. How can I make that money earn me more money? So the way I educate my clients is this: you start with one investment. I'll give a simple one. Let's just say that it's real estate, right? So you purchase a real estate property, and now that's bringing you in cash flow. Well, that's what we call first generation money. Okay. So now when you start bringing in that cash flow, a lot of people think okay, well, now I can pay myself and I can spend it. I educate my clients, say, no. We want to live off of second generation money. Some people even wait till the third generation. So, hey, I'm going to take that, let's call it $5,000 of extra cash flow that I'm earning from my real estate. I may want to purchase another property. I may want to purchase an Airbnb. I may want to invest in a partnership in another business, etc. That $5,000 that I'm earning from the one property is now turned into me earning now $15,000 a month. So now I may decide to live off of the 15 versus living off of the 5.
Okay.
And literally, when you start accruing investment opportunities such as that, money just starts coming, right? So that's the offensive strategy that we want to take in the markets.
Okay, definitely. I'm gonna get a little bit deeper into that. We'll ask
Okay.
another question referring to that later, but I also want to get into so why do you believe it's important for people to not only know about financial defense but also use it for them and their family?
Oh, if COVID didn't prove enough, if this recent pandemic in this generation hasn't proven enough, I would just tell individuals, um, if you didn't feel it during the pandemic, I guarantee a lot of people may have been feeling it now, because when we look at the I believe it's called the GDP index, and so when you're looking at the cost of the cost of goods right now, I believe if you compare it to from now to even just last year in 2021, it's plus 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that was sold at Walmart, right? Is or that's just me using an example. But everything that's sold at Walmart, imagine that everything is up 10%. I believe the status right now may be close to like 12 or 13% right now. Okay. When you look at gas prices, right? That gas prices probably rose. If you look at think gas prices rose probably like 20% over these past couple of months. Guess what? Your income has not risen by that much. And then if you think too, around the same time gas price was going up around the summertime of this year, typically that is the season where your landlords are raising the rents as well. And typically the rents are going up by 5, 10, even some places maybe 15%. And nobody's income is raising with their expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes, does the need for that financial defense is to say, hey, when the economy may be going against me, I've established my own safety net. So I don't have to feel the same burden that everyone else may be feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, while I was going through that bull run and I've been accumulating cash, right? Whether it be in a life insurance policy or however we've been saving, I now have that nest egg that I can lean on in these tough times. So therefore, hey, I may want to withdraw. I can start withdrawing some funds, but not everything, because when the market goes back up, I still have my nest egg that's going to be accumulating more cash flow or compound interest over time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So we talk about both offensive and defensive, um, being a financial offense and financial defense. If someone is looking to start um, investing in either form, but they only have room or only have the money for one type of investment, whether it's life insurance or the stock market um, or renting properties or whatever, what would you recommend someone? What would you recommend someone do?
The very first investment I inform all of my, well, let me say this. I can't use the word investment in the insurance realm because you're not buying the stock, right? But the saving strategy that I would encourage all my clients to begin with is a permanent life insurance policy. The reason being is because if you're a young individual, so I'll start with our younger audience here. All right. If you're a younger individual, then you establishing these life insurance policies now are going to save you so much more money in the long run, and you're going to be able to accumulate a lot more cash flow, in those latter years. Okay. And also what I've been educating my clients on, for example, going to that case study of an individual who, hey, you don't have much, but you have something where you can start saving or investing towards. Well, you can, when you start putting that money into a permanent life insurance policy and it's accumulating cash value over time, that's like the best savings plan, because you're going to be earning more interest in those policies than your savings account. So you're beating about 90% of normal people, right, who just have money in a savings account. And then number two, what you're also doing is you're protecting yourself against if the market goes against you, i.e. 401k. Well, guess what? You didn't lose any money. So when the market goes down, imagine your money going up, and now you're in a better position to make those investments, those larger investments like real estate, or you ready to have money to start those businesses. So you literally can use a life insurance policy, permanent life insurance policy that's accumulating cash flow to do anything that you wanted to do over time. So that would be the very first thing I tell people to do. And also too, because it protects your family from anything that you cannot plan for, or should I say prepare for. Or you can only prepare for the, in the event that it happens, but no one can say, I know on this day and this day something tragic is gonna happen. Right. So
and if you can say that, it's probably too late.
Exactly. Because the moment you get diagnosed with something, right? Hey, that's in the record books. That goes down in your medical history. And so then guess what? The cost of insurance just goes up.
Yeah, so we're talking about insurance, and you talked about permanent life insurance. What other type of life insurance is out there? And then I know you talked about the benefits of the permanent life insurance. What are the benefits of those other life insurance options when it comes to like building wealth?
Okay. Now there's a variety or a suite of life insurance policies, but I'm going to stick to the main ones that a lot of people are aware of. So the first one and the basic one that I would recommend everyone have is a term life insurance policy. Why? Because that gives you the most bang for your buck, right? So hey, an individual, let's just say around the age of 30, right? They can get this is a life insurance is going to change from every individual size, height, weight, medical history, all that stuff, right? So this is just an example. But an individual can get a life insurance policy for $500,000 and lock in a price for 30 years. And let's just say that price is $35 a month, right? Hey, you literally are prepared to protect your family with $500,000 and you're only paying $35 a month. Okay. But with the life insurance policy, though, there's no cash value associated with it. So then when you go into permanent life insurance, there are two kinds. That is what you call a whole life policy, which is pretty much straightforward, right? You pretty much have a policy. You decide what the death benefit that you want. And then you're paying that monthly premium. It does accrue cash value, right, with the whole life policy as well. And then you can also do some other additions to those policies, add on certain features. But the beautiful part about these policies, though, is that it's building cash value, and then your premium is set all the way till your age 100 or the day you die. So therefore, you never have to worry about the premium going up. Unlike the term policy, it's called term for a reason because it expires at a certain time. And if you want to renew it, now your premium goes higher. So then the next level, and I call it next level because in my opinion, it offers more benefits than the whole life policy.
Before you go on to that,
okay, go ahead.
You talk about term life insurance and you say it expires. If you don't renew it, what, like, does that mean like all the money that you put into it like means nothing now, or does that, like, you get any of that back, or like how is that?
That's a great question. So essentially, yes, all of the money that you've paid towards that life insurance policy pretty much goes, it's pretty much its value, no value added once it expires. Okay. And so that's a great question. I want everyone to know that, okay, because that's the point of you at a young age having a combination of a term policy with a permanent insurance policy. Okay. Because then now you're covered both ways. At a young age, you get the most bang for your buck. Because guess what? Things happen at a young age. We're driving more, we're experimenting more, we're traveling more. That's the reason why you want the most coverage when you're younger. Okay. And like you said, yes, it will expire at a certain time, and then boom, it pretty much goes. Like, the best way to look at term policies is like your car insurance. You pay that thing every single month. And literally, if you never get into an accident, that money was just useless, essentially. Okay. And then, like I said, we went over term. we went over whole life policy, and to take it a step further is what we call a universal life policy. Okay, and the one specifically that I'm gonna discuss in regards to universal is the index universal, or the acronym for that would be IUL. For those of you, for the listeners, you may want to do your research on what an IUL is. And so this right here is it's pretty much a great combination or a dynamic duo of having having life insurance coverage while also having a savings account on steroids, right? That's the best way to put it. It's the best of both worlds, because now I'm covering my family from a tragic event that may take place. When I put money into this i.e. my premium, right, it's split into two, where you have the cost of insurance, then you have your net premium. That net premium is what's going to your cash value account. And guess what, guys? When you have that index IUL, let's just say that you want to track the S&P 500 index as an example, right? When the S&P 500 index goes up 5% or 10% for that year, your cash value goes up 10% or 5% that year. But yeah, so with the IUL, like I said, using the S&P 500 for example, your cash value is increasing in interest as if it was invested into the stock market itself. But yeah, that would explain your 3 life insurance policies there.
Great. So we hear a lot about life insurance. At least I hear a lot about life insurance, like on the internet. I mean, everywhere you hear about people trying to sell life insurance or sell something like life insurance. What are some things, or maybe some scams people should be looking out for when they're looking for life insurance, and making sure it's actually like true life insurance and not just somebody trying to take their money?
Oh, this is a great question, because I do want people to be aware of that there is a such thing as a good insurance agent versus a bad insurance agent. Okay. So I'll say this: a good insurance agent, or a great process for the client, is for that insurance agent to do what my industry, my business calls a financial needs analysis. Okay. Why? Because we need to understand how to create the policy in such a way that it meets the needs of the client.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have some clients who have came to me after they've acquired a policy, because they said they received a phone call one night, and then they just a cold call was just like, "Hey, how much insurance you want? We got a fire sale going on right now." And I talked to this person. They said, "Well, I just chose $250,000." I said, "Well, do you know if that's sufficient for your needs, or do you actually need more? Or do you have too much?" It was like, "I don't know." I said, "Well, how did you come up with $250,000?" She said, "Well, this is what I thought about." And I said, so once I did the needs analysis, this is a woman where she has multiple children, right? And then on top of that, she has no permanent insurance. So she purchased all term insurance policies.
Mm-hmm.
And I want everyone on this call to know this: life insurance companies love term insurance more than they do permanent insurance. Why? Because 97% of the term insurance policies will expire or lapse, so therefore they don't pay out 97% of their policies. So all of the money that they've acquired, in their portfolio is really from term policies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then the second thing I'll bring up is on the permanent insurance side, is that you can have an agent that will set you up with a high premium, but then they didn't design the policy in a way where you're also maximizing your cash value. So on the permanent insurance side, you can also have an agent, because for some companies, it's all commission based. Mm-hmm. So, hey, the higher I can get someone's premium up, then that's more money for me as an agent. But a good agent will, again, do the financial needs analysis, create the budget with that client, And then we're going to design the policy to fit the budget, not necessarily one that fits my pocket as the agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I also encourage for any listeners that may be listening to this, review your life insurance policies with another agent, just to have another pair of eyes on it, that policy meets what your intentions were when you initiated that policy.
Okay. So you say with the permanent life insurance, there are other benefits like living benefits that you can use. Can you kind of I guess expand on that, and like when can those benefits start being used?
Yes, indeed. Josh, you seem like you know something about life insurance
Just a
policy,
little
my
bit, just a
friend.
little bit.
Yeah, there we go. So a lot of people don't value the life insurance because they only think that, hey, it's only valuable when I die. But in reality, it can be your most valuable asset because it covers everything just about. Okay. In the event that you die, yep, we are. I think everybody has that understanding, right? That, hey, whatever the face value is or the death benefit is, boom, that's what get paid out to your beneficiaries. But what a lot of people are not aware of is that the industry has evolved. And so now if I have, going back to that same client with a term policy of $500,000, well, if you have a good agent, they're going to set you up with a policy with living benefits. And there are 3 particular categories for those living benefits. One being terminal illness. Terminal illness is pretty much to say this. Now, I also add this caveat: every company may be different, right? So every company, the specifics of their policies or living benefits may be slightly different. So here are some examples. A terminal illness rider pretty much says this, right? If I get diagnosed with 12 months or less to live, I get access to 90% of my death benefit. So if I have that $500,000 policy, whether it be a term policy or even a permanent insurance policy, I now can access $450,000, and I don't need any additional, like I don't need a special reason, right, or anything beyond the fact that my doctor has diagnosed me with only 12 months or less to live. Boom, I get to be able to access that policy. They can write me a check for the full amount if I so choose.
If you now, just because the diagnosis say you got 12 months to live doesn't mean you only have 12 months to live. So let's say with that example, you live more than 12 months. Does that change anything?
It doesn't change anything. I don't have to pay it back. Now, let's just say that in the event, this right here would be a great case study to research even for myself. But let's just say that, okay, someone got the diagnosis, right? 12 months or less to live. And they withdrew out of that 500,000, they have access to 450, but they only withdrew $250,000, 250,000. Well, now it's next year August, or now it's next year September. They've lived beyond the 12 months, right? I will have to do some research to know if the insurance policy will still grant me or allow me to have the additional, 50 or 40% of what the remaining 200,000 I took out. But I would say likely not, because now you're no longer within that terminal illness rider, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the good news is that you don't necessarily have to pay anything back. So, so if that was just for anyone that's listening, once you withdraw those funds, that fund is that has reduced your death benefit the moment you withdraw from it. So there's nothing you have to pay back.
So that was the first benefit. You said it was 3 in total, right?
Yep. So then we also have the chronic illness. So chronic illness is pretty much simply saying, hey, if you face an injury or a medical condition that doesn't allow you to do like 2 out of 6 daily activities like continence, dressing yourself, eating yourself, transporting yourself, bathing yourself, etc. If you're not able to do 2 of the 6 daily activities, well, now they're going to allow you to access 25% of your death benefit on a yearly basis. Okay. Now, these things are important to know. Why? Because what I'm about to say may sound cruel to some of the listeners, but I'm telling you guys, there are certain things that you cannot prepare for, right? Or you cannot plan. So there are situations to where for some families, it would have been better if that family member who got into a car accident, if they had passed away, versus the family trying to save that person, and literally they spent all that they had for medical bills, and also they've even picked up loans for medical bills, etc. And guess what? Those hospital bills ain't free, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can come back to you. But imagine though, if that individual who got into a car accident, now they can't feed themselves, now they can't bathe themselves, now they can't transport themselves, they can't dress themselves. Let's just say we go with some of those that may be common. Well, now they can access money to take care of their medical expenses. So I hope that the listeners can understand that life insurance can protect us from situations that you hear about just turning on Facebook, turning on the news.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's accidents every single day. And so imagine those medical bills that can be taken care of rather than becoming a burden on the people who was taking care of you. Right. And then the third and last one that's very common is the critical illness rider. Now, I believe that for certain cultures or certain communities, this is very critical. Why? Because this would fall under what falls under this particular rider is for, like, for example, if you had a heart attack, if you had a stroke, I believe another one that will fall under this is like a blood transfusion, things of that nature. Well, there are certain cultures there you have heart attacks. There are certain cultures, or just from a generational thing, your family is known for having strokes, at a certain age or a certain time period. Or some people I know have strokes due to stress at work.
Mm-hmm.
So now you face this health condition at an early age, or at an age where you didn't expect it to. Let's say you don't consider yourself old.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you have these medical bills and these prescriptions, et cetera, that now needs to become a part of your family's budget. Well, what if that's not planned in your budget?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you can access, I believe, around 25% a year of your death benefit to be able to cover those medical expenses. So that's why life insurance is very critical, because, again, you're protecting you and your family while at the same time have a savings account on steroids.
So what's the earliest you can kind of reap those benefits? Like, is it as soon as you get your life insurance, or do you have to have it for a year or anything like that?
Literally day one. So the way the process goes is that you're going to sit with the agent. You're going to give them all of your information, and then they're going to create the application for you, and they're going to submit it on your behalf. You, as the client, you have the option to submit your payment, your first premium, along with the application. The moment you do that, you are now insured, as if assuming that the insurance company is going to approve you, right? As they review your medical history, etc., and assuming that they approve you, say even if it's 2 weeks later or a month later. If something happened to you in between the time that you submitted your payment with the application and their approval date, your policy is intact and enforced. Therefore, if anything happened to you at that time, they will still treat it as if they had issued your policy.
So there are some companies that would say you don't have to get a medical exam, or they don't look at your medical history. Like, is there a difference between like a insurance company that does look at your medical history and like need you to go to the doctor before they sign anything, versus one who doesn't?
That's a great question. I would say that if you have a company that does that, I would almost guarantee, without even knowing the company, I would almost guarantee that they're only offering term insurance policies.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? They know, statistically speaking, that term insurance policy is going to expire, or is going to lapse 97% of the time. So therefore they would most likely never pay out on those policies. But for a company that's offering a permanent insurance policy, there's no way that they're going to offer that without doing a medical background first.
Okay.
And if you do, and if they so happen to do, I guarantee you it's not going to be $1 million policy you're going to be able to get without a medical background check.
So also, when it comes to like the living benefits, I follow some people on Instagram, and they talk about how you can use your life insurance while you're alive. And one of the people I follow was talking about how they can invest in different stuff like real estate. Like, is that something you can actually do? Like, how does that work?
Absolutely. Well, guess what? I'm in the process of doing that right now, as I'm a product of the product. My wife and I, we have our own index universal life policies. And so the game plan is that we fund these policies to the maximum that we can. All right. And so let's just say that let's just say, for example, right, that I can fund my policy every year with $10,000. Fund my life. My premium is not at $10,000 a year, but the IUL gives me the flexibility to fund it beyond my premium. Okay. And so I explained that for my listeners, right? If you guys can catch it. All right. So now I'm funding this as if it's like my 401k. All right. And so now then what happens is that I get to take a loan against my cash value within my IUL policy. And the beautiful part about that is that because I took out a loan, the cash value technically is still inside of the policy, earning interest, while yet I still have money in my bank account. And now I get to say, my IUL is doing on average, 5% a year. Some years it could be more. Let's say on average, 5%. But I have this real estate, using your example, I have this real estate project where I believe that I can start earning, I can earn a 10% return on my investment. So boom, let's say I make that investment in real estate. Let's say I do a flip. Okay. Let's say after a few years of me funding my policy, I was able to take $25,000 out of as a loan against my IUL. I now invested that same $25,000 into a real estate project. Okay. I flip it, and let's just say I make a net profit of like $75,000. Well, I'm gonna then take that $25,000 that I took out against my IUL, and I'm gonna put that back into my IUL. The reason why people do that, ladies and gentlemen who's listening, is because now I have become my own bank. I have funded my own project without having to go to a bank and get approval. I didn't have to go through a credit check. I didn't have to give them bank statements. I didn't have to show proof of employment or proof of income or anything. I literally took a loan against my policy, and then let's just say I did that flip within that calendar year. Now I've also taken a loan with zero interest. So now that's the whole become your own bank strategy right there.
So is that only after you put in a certain amount of money into your IUL?
Well, hey, again, like I said earlier, as the client and as the agent, we work together to structure the IUL to do whatever it is that you want it to do. Okay. Right. So to that listener or to that client, I would ask them, what's your plans? What are your future plans? Because the moment you have, cash flow a cash balance or cash value in your life insurance policy, hey, you can withdraw or take a loan against that, as soon as you want to, whenever you want to. Now, in my instance, right, if I'm going to save for a real estate project, I'm going to urge that client to say, hey, focus on that goal. Don't go after the next shiny thing that's dangling in front of you, because now when you withdraw those or take a loan against your policy, and then you put it against something else, well, now all of a sudden your strategy has changed. or your plans have changed. So now you don't have as much capital in your IUL to then put it into that investment project. So, I encourage people to say, hey, if you're gonna, as you fund it, your IUL policies, your permanent insurance policies, make sure whatever you pull out that it's gonna earn you more money than what your policy is already earning you.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So at the beginning, you talked about you should start getting life insurance as early. What age would you say that is?
When the child is 14 days old, literally. When that child is 14 days old, you can issue a permanent life insurance policy for that child, and therefore that child that policy will be accruing cash value. And so this is where they get the term $1 million baby from. Is because they used an IUL, index universal life policy, where over those 18 or 20 years or so, from the time they was born all the way to the time of 18 to 20, ready to go to college, ready to go to trade school, ready to start their business, well, guess what? Now mommy and daddy done already acquired 6 or 7 figures into a policy. And guess what? The banks don't see that. The banks don't see that your family has an asset of 6 figures, of 7 figures. Why? Because it's in a life insurance policy. And now you can, that parent can now withdraw, take a loan against that policy to now meet the needs of the child. So that's as early as you want to get it. If you're a listener right now, all right, here's what my mentor had told me. He has said that the best time to plant a tree was 5 years ago. That's the best time to plant the tree, was 5 years ago. So if you do not have a life insurance policy, whether it be a term policy, whether it be a permanent insurance policy, I recommend both. But if you guys do not have that policy, then hey, you guys may want to contact me or contact your nearest agent, someone that you know, love, and trust, to establish that for you ASAP.
So would you say is there a difference between someone, what is the difference between someone starting that life insurance policy as soon as their baby is born versus starting that what is the other account you can start, like to save for college or save for their future, whatever?
Yeah, so you have a lot of people may be familiar with the Gerber baby plan.
Okay, yeah, something
Gerber
like that.
college plan. And I think that the model, years ago, decades ago, was, hey, so you put $12 a month into this Gerber plan, it's supposed to accrue to $100,000. And when you do the math on that, it's just not possible. It's really not possible to do that. So I would say that the value is, number one, is to do your research, right? It's to do your research and understanding how much do you want for that child, because now we're talking about future planning, or planning for educational funding, right? And the question really becomes, well, do you want to plan for a Harvard tuition, or do you want to plan for a local university tuition? Those are two different spectrums, right? And so that's the reason why we always recommend our clients who are mothers and fathers. We say, hey, the moment that the child is born, 2 weeks, 14 days on the dot, let's go ahead and issue that policy. Why? Because you take advantage of what I like to call the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest. Compound interest is more powerful when you allow your money to compound over a longer period of time. So that's how you're able to allow your money to truly work for you.
So when you do that, can you still borrow against it, like as the parent? Like, let's say the child is now 14, you've been doing it since 14 days old. Can you then use that to do the other investments like rental properties or whatever?
Yes, absolutely. Now, so the way you would structure the policy, right, is because the child is a child. The child is 18 years old, so the child cannot be the owner of the policy. Okay. But the insured of the policy is the child, right? The insurance is based on the child, but the owner would be the parent.
Okay.
And so the parent technically has full rights or control over what goes on with that policy or the funds within that policy.
So
Okay.
when the child turns 18, do it automatically turn over to the child? Do the parents still have control over it? Do they have what's that process like?
Yes. So the parents literally can have control over that policy all the way until the parents die. And then automatically, that's the only time anything is automated in terms of transferring ownership, is that if the parent is the owner and they have listed the child as the insured, right? And assuming they would list the child as well as the beneficiary, then the ownership would then go to the insured, which would be the child.
Okay.
If the parents wanted to, and this right here is going back to that one client who I mentioned, where she has 3 children, but she only has a term policy. I mentioned to her, well, she can convert that term insurance into a permanent insurance when she's ready. And then because the children are already, adults, I said that, well, you don't have to burden yourself with the premium. Transfer ownership of that policy to your children. And so parents can do that as well at any time, assuming that you want to give the child some responsibility. Hey, that would be a great first payment to give to a child, to say, hey, rather than me forcing you to pay your phone bill, TV, cable bill, whatever, or Netflix and all that stuff, hey, I'm gonna give you the responsibility of taking care of your future.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, here you go. I've already started this. All you have to do is maintain it.
Would you say a person who works with life insurance or a life insurance agent is also someone who should also be sort of like a financial advisor, maybe an advisor, or what's the other word for it?
Consultant?
Yeah.
That's a great question. And to be 100% honest with you, no.
Okay.
Because a life insurance agent, you are licensed and certified to offer various products in the insurance realm. But from a legal standpoint, you cannot consider yourself a financial advisor until you get certain licenses like a Series 63, 65, 67, etc. Those actually allow you to open up Roth IRAs or investment accounts for individuals.
Okay.
And then you can get a specific license where you can be an asset manager, and you actually can acquire other people's funds, and you have the right to trade people or invest people money for them. Okay. So yeah, there's definitely tiers to it. So to all of you listeners, okay, if you are getting financial advice regarding specific investments from individuals, ask for their credentials if they are licensed to give you that advice. Okay. If they are not licensed to give you that advice, then I want you guys to just take it as a grain of salt, appreciate them for their time, but then go seek legal advice from a financial advisor.
So when it comes to all the different types of financial defense, what are some resources you can give the listeners to help them do the research that you were talking about earlier?
Oh man, that is great. That is great. So one of my favorite books is the book called The Richest Man in Babylon. That right there is a great read, and also it is on Audible for anyone who prefers a good Audible. Another good book is called Wealth Life. Oh, 1 second here. Let me get this book right now. I'm gonna butcher it if I try to say it off the cuff here. So I'm pulling it up right now. Here we go. Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. I had the titles mixed up. Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance by Jake Thompson. That's going to be a great book. Why? Because it's going to give you the examples of even how corporations, we're talking about the Amazons, we're talking about the Googles, we're talking about the Apples, we're talking about the banks, How do banks, we're talking even Walt Disney, he literally describes to you how Walt Disney used life insurance when he ran out of money. Investors were not even paying him money. He ran out of money and he utilized the cash value in his life insurance policy to complete the first Disneyland theme park. And the rest is history.
Speaking of large companies, I also heard that companies like that take out life insurance policies on their employees. Is that true, or can they do that?
That is very true. Very true. Every employee, if you are an employee, regardless, I don't care what job you're at, I guarantee you that your company has a life insurance policy on you right now.
Now,
why?
Go ahead. I was going to say, is that different from them giving you a life insurance? Like I know some companies might give you like a $100,000 life insurance policy. Is that something different than them having a life insurance policy on you?
So what it's called is called a group term life. Right? That's the technical term for in the insurance realm. And so businesses have acquired contracts or partnerships with an insurance company that to pretty much says, hey, we want to offer our clients short-term disability. We want to offer them long-term disability. We don't want to offer them life insurance, whatever that package is. And so therefore they're giving you, they charge, they give it to you for free, but some companies may actually charge you $25, $50, $60, whatever it is a month for those policies for them to insure you. And then also keep in mind, another thing we can look at is this. A lot of people don't know this, but even NFL head coaches, right? Some of their salary is baked into having an insurance policy. And that's where you would call, I believe the technical term is key man's insurance. Why? Because you have this head coach that's responsible for this entire team. Now, you are the billionaire being the owner, right? But your team is still bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars. So guess what? Companies have these key man insurance policies on individuals, executives, people of these higher statuses, because if something happens to that individual, therefore that could cause that could cause a financial deficit to the organization, to the company. So therefore they have a life insurance policies on all their employees and all these key executives and key personnel to ensure that that financial deficit is covered. So yes, on every employee, there's a life insurance policy on the employee.
So with the life insurance policy, let's say something happens to one employee, two employees or whatever, while they're working there, are you saying that the company get paid as well as the employee's family?
Exactly. Absolutely. Now, here's the key part. So now again, this is me talking in general, because of course, I can't say what every company's policy, how it is structured.
Yeah.
But yes, so for example, if the client has an insurance policy with an employer, and let's just say typically it is 1 times that client's salary. So if a client is earning $85,000 a year, well, they're going to probably have what they call a basic life insurance policy for $85,000. Well, guess what? Your family's going to get a check for $85,000. Whoever your beneficiaries are, they're going to get a check for $85,000. And guess what? I'm pretty sure that your company is going to get some form of compensation as well, because now there's a deficit within their company, and they need to fill that with something else. Right. So yeah, to answer your question, essentially there will be compensation on both parties.
Okay. Now, going back to those resources, I know you gave 2 books, which I think are great books. Do you think there are people, because now people are on social media, of course, are there any people that you would recommend that they follow on social media? Including yourself, is there any other people that you would recommend that they follow or listen to, whether they have a podcast or YouTube or anything like that?
Well, I will tell the listeners to keep on listening to the Joshua Lazenby experience. All right. Because I know, brother, that based on our conversation, I'm excited for more content that you are gonna keep on producing in the in the future months to come. So I'm excited for that, and I'll stay in tune as well. I would say that other podcasts or listeners or speakers that they can be listening to. One is going to be Robert Kiyosaki. Everyone knows about should I say? A lot of people are aware of Robert Kiyosaki. He has a great track record in regards to finances. Some investors, one investor I would bring up is a Ray Dalio. All right. He is one of my inspirations when it comes to investing. Warren Buffett, again, and Warren Buffett knows about insurance companies. I believe Warren Buffett I believe he's the owner of Geico. If I recall, I believe he bought Geico. So he knows about insurance companies, okay, and the value and the asset that insurance brings in. Also myself, Dwayne Wilson, right? You guys can follow me on Facebook, Dwayne Wilson. Or also you guys can follow me on Instagram at Dwayne CEO, DWAYNE CEO. And then yeah, you guys can feel free to contact me by email, by phone number. So therefore, if you guys have any additional questions, then I can also support you guys as well. And also I want to extend my network to you guys as well, because as I mentioned, I've learned to specialize in one thing, but have a network of experts in other areas as well. So literally what I do for my clients is, as we talk about their needs, there may be a client that want to know more about real estate. Okay, hey, I'm gonna point you to a real estate investor that I know is doing projects, and maybe you can partner up with them. I may know if you're a client and you're saying, hey, I want to improve my credit. I have a credit specialist that can help you with your personal credit, business credit, and get you business funding for whatever endeavors that you want in the past. I mean, that you want to experience in the future. Hey, I know I have a client of mine, who's going to be well versed in establishing other investment accounts, specifically who's registered or as a financial advisor. So hey, you want to do the life insurance policy? We can set that up for you. You want to look for other investment accounts outside of your company's 401k because you just want more options. I have someone for you for that as well.
So I'm gonna let him say all of that again at the end, just so you can hear it again. But going on with the last few questions that I have for you today, what would you tell someone right now if they say they can't financially afford to get life insurance, or to be financial, or have financial defense or offense? Like, what would you say is those first steps you need to take if they're looking to get that life insurance or start that being financial free, I guess? What are some of those first steps they should be taking?
That's a great question, because I literally just ran into that situation a couple of weeks ago. Two things I would say to that client is, I would say, let's go over your budget. That'll be the very first thing, because a mentor had told me that if you have money, if you have money to go out to eat, if you have money to go out and buy Starbucks, or if you have money to go out and buy, anything that's not a necessity, then you have money to invest, or you have money to save. People will be surprised that once I look at their budget, and typically the biggest category, on average with majority of my clients, the biggest category that they spend the most money on is their stomach, because they're spending money. I was
gonna guess that too, because that's I know.
They're spending money on takeout, and because for a lot of people, really, they spend more money on takeout than they do grocery shopping. And so I would challenge that client to say, okay, well, let's look at your budget. Because I can guarantee you that if you don't have money for a life insurance policy, then that means then that you're living well above your means. Typically. All right. And I would say that's 9 out of 10 times. Unless you literally are starting from the bottom, you just got a job from whatever situation that you're trying to come out of your situation. So yeah, you're earning money, but it's still not enough. That may be a different situation. But even if you're in that case, then the second point that I would address with that individual is establish urgency now. Establish urgency now to improve your financial situation. A business partner of mine was helping out a potential client. And unfortunately, they had the next appointment to go over the policy. They had it scheduled for a Monday. That client got into a major accident on Saturday, ended up passing away. Leaving behind, I believe, a 14-year-old and a 6-year-old. And they did not have any life insurance policy set up. They literally was going to establish everything that next week. And all of a sudden, something tragic happened that you would have never guessed, or you would have never known that that's going to occur. So that's the reason why I would stress the urgency to improve the individual's financial situation ASAP.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't want that to be like a scare tactic to get people to get life insurance, but it's something that can happen, and it just based off his story, has happened.
I have another story, and because I don't want to make this morbid, but I want to make someone to see that. I want to give multiple situations, because there may be a listener who's listening is like, I know of a story similar to that, so it hits home. So a client of mine, who's actually a client of mine, she told me about her cousin had passed away. It was a teenager, so it's a young person. Again, no one plans to bury their child. Okay, but a cousin of hers passed away, and the parents did not establish a life insurance policy for the child. They are literally at the funeral passing a bucket around because they did not have enough funds to complete the funeral. They would not allow the family to leave with the casket at the funeral home. So, okay, cool. They finally, gathered as much funds they could. Boom, they was able to pay for the funeral service. Okay, cool. But then they get to the funeral of the cemetery. There's a truck parked in front of the entrance of the cemetery because they have yet to pay for the services of the cemetery. And so my client said that literally a gentleman was walking around with his hat held out, going from car to car, asking for more donations because they did not have enough money to cover the burial. So these things are not, like you said, not meant to be scare tactics, but these things do happen that a lot of people, you may not experience in your family, but you've probably heard of stories being done in other families. So don't look at it as a scare tactic, but look at it as a reason for you to call your mom, your father. Look at it as a reason for you to check within yourself or talk to your spouse or your significant other and ask yourself the question, have we planned for these type of events? Have we planned for, if this event happens, what will happen next? So, like I said, I hope it doesn't scare you, but it impress upon you the urgency that's needed to just establish these plans, because you can get these policies established within a couple of days, and boom, now you cover it, and hey, it's one less thing you got to worry about going forward.
Definitely. And then just to go back to what you were talking about with budgeting, I'm starting to really love the budgeting kind of, I don't know what you call it, but I love the idea of budgeting and helping other people budget. So I do have an episode that's in season 1 of the Rising Big Experience podcast where I talk about budgeting, and then I have another episode that's going to be coming out this season, or might be coming out before this episode, about budgeting. And both of them I feel like can be very helpful if you're in that early stage of trying to figure out how I can start being more financial, have more financial freedom, and understand your budget and understand where your money is going, so you can make these type of investments for you and your family.
Absolutely. Man, look at budgeting is going to be the very first part of establishing financial stability and financial wealth, financial freedom going forward.
Yes, definitely. So I know you kind of already talked about this, but if you have, let's say you're talking to someone who is 18, 19 years old, they don't have big responsibilities, they don't have any kids, they they're young and they can do whatever they want to do with their time and with their money. But they're saying that they don't need life insurance because they're young, they have their whole life ahead of them. What would you tell them to show them that that's not correct, and kind of convince them that they should be focusing, I guess, not just on life insurance, but having that financial defense?
Okay. I'm gonna tell, regardless of his path. So if I have an 18-year-old who, let's just say he's aspired to be a bachelor, not concerned with kids, not concerned with marriage, because a lot of people will try to use life insurance and say, well, hey, you need to protect your family. And he's like, look, I don't have no kids, I don't have no desire for kids, no marriage, no none of that. I'm by myself. I say, you know what? That is great. What do you want to do with your future? He's going to tell me he want to do X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? I'm going to show you how you can use a permanent life insurance policy to do what it is exactly that you want to do. And then secondly, health coverage. If you're an entrepreneur, health coverage, independent health coverage is very expensive. Okay? Very expensive. But as a young man, you can establish a term insurance policy where in the event that something happens to you and you may not have the coverage to take care of your medical expenses, a life insurance policy can easily give you access to several hundred thousand, several six figures of income to take care of whatever medical expenses that may occur. For the individual who says that, hey, I do aspire to have a wife. We're talking about a gentleman as an example. Hey, I do aspire to have a family. I do aspire to have a significant other. I do aspire to have children one day. Hey, I do have aspirations to take care of my parents. Okay. Well, guess what? You can purchase life insurance for your parents. You can purchase life insurance for yourself. And then guess what? As you have your money accruing, now you're not married yet, you don't have kids yet, your family's still young, your mother, parents may be still young, so you're not financially taking care of them right now. But you've established yourself to be wealthy in the future at a very early age where it's probably going to be impossible for you to be broke. Because now you have money working for you for, let's say, 10, 20, 30, 50 plus years. You've established financial security for yourself. You've established financial security for your significant other. You've established financial security for your legacy. And you've established financial security to financially support your parents when they get older. Right? And that's literally why, I hope people understand the importance that the significance of that life is a full circle. Right? Your parents are taking care of you, then eventually at some point in time, someone needs to take care of your parents.
Now, you bring up health insurance. Should someone substitute a life insurance policy for health insurance? Should you have both? Should you have either or? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I would suggest they have both. Yes. Okay. Well, like, for example, right? Dental. Let's use dental insurance, for example. A life insurance policy is not about to cover you to go get braces or cover you to go get a crown or anything of that nature, right? Yeah. You still need your health insurance for your everyday or your yearly services or checkups, etc. But life insurance comes in the event of those major life-altering events where you're talking about a doctor or hospital bill coming in for $50,000. Well, 70% of America don't even have $1,000 saved up in their savings account. So where do people get those funds from? Life insurance policies takes care of those.
So as we wind down, I got two last, questions specifically about financial defense. The first one is, why do you think people don't believe in getting life insurance or having financial defense? And what is your pitch against? Well, I guess you kind of already gave a pitch against it, but why do you think people believe they shouldn't have life insurance?
There's several reasons why. Some people are misguided. Some people just believe that, again, like I said earlier, life insurance is for when I die. So hey, I'll get it when I'm older. Another reason is that young people are not properly planning. They're not educated to plan for their future.
Mm-hmm.
Young people are more so, educated to buy the clothes, buy the gear, buy the shoes, buy the toys, buy the cars, buy the jewelry, all of these things that are depreciating assets, and they're not taught to acquire appreciating assets. So everybody is educated to acquire liabilities more so than they are to acquire assets.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason why is because another reason why people may not be focused on financial defense is because they are heavily on the one side of financial offense. And the danger in that is that offense and defense truly go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be so far on the offensive side that someone will come to you with an opportunity, and because you didn't do your research on that opportunity and they promise you, hey, you can earn these crazy amount of returns on gains every month or every year, whatever the case may be, and it's not a truly proven system, meaning that it's been around for several years, there's longevity, there's a track record, where you're so heavy on offense that you invest a lot of your money or a lot of your portfolio, in a year or two, now it's all gone. Mm-hmm. Because you got involved with a scam, essentially, or you got involved with, it may not have been a scam, but some people just decide to say, hey, I'm gonna shut down shop and I'm no longer going to provide this service anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thought about financial offense and defense is that you've made a sound investment, or you've developed a sound savings plan with an expert in that particular field. So therefore, now you're earning money while at the same time protecting your money. That's why they go hand in hand.
Definitely. And with this last question, I don't know, it might be hard to say, and you might not have anything to say with this last question when it comes to life insurance and financial defense. Basically, what are the cons when it comes to life insurance or life insurance policies, if there are any?
Yeah, I would say the con to life insurance policy is that it's not a get rich quick. That's the con. Yes, there are probably some, like I said, right, let's just say you have an IUL, and the IUL is doing on average, 5% return on investment on a yearly basis, okay, or 5% ROI. Well, there may be other opportunities that's doing 7, 10, 15%. There could be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your life insurance policy is not designed for you to make money fast, but it's designed to ensure you have money for the long term and is growing all by itself without you having to do anything or worry about it. So in reality, I would say that that's probably the only con that there is to life insurance. Whether it be even if it's a term policy, a lot of people don't know that there are certain companies that offer you what they call a conversion factor. So even though your term policy may expire, let's just say you have you're 30 years old, you have a term policy of $500,000 with a conversion factor. Okay, let's just say I want to wait till I'm 40 years old. Boom, I'm able to get my money up. My businesses are flourishing, right? I got more guests coming on and tuning into the Lazenby experience, right? Well, guess what? Josh is now doing much better with his life, financially speaking, and so now he can afford that IUL policy, and he already has one, by the way, listeners. So you got to know. All right, but let's just say he want to up it even more. So, right, so he's willing to pay more, put more into it. Well, now he can convert that $500,000 at age 40. He can convert that into a permanent insurance or IUL policy as if he's still at age 30. So your premium at age 40 is going to be issued as if you acquired the policy at age 30. So, like, really, there's no cons except for the fact that, money just don't grow that fast. Not safe, sound, and secure investments. They are designed for the long term, not the short term.
Well, with that, I'd like to ask my guests these last two questions, or ask all my guests these last two questions, just to make sure we get everything out of this episode as much as we can. Is there anything that we missed, or anything that you think we should add, or that you would like to add to this episode that maybe I haven't asked yet, or we haven't gotten to?
Yes. I would say for the individuals without any coverage, all right, without any life insurance coverage, get as much as you can as soon as you can. Why? Because literally, if the moment your birthday hits, literally the day of your birthday, the cost of your insurance goes up. But if you don't have any coverage at all, get as much as you can, as fast as you can, get a combination of a term policy along with a permanent insurance policy. Okay. And then for the individuals who already have some form of coverage, I'm going to encourage you to get with another agent to review your policies to ensure that it is doing what it is that you want it to do. Because I had a client who thought that they had this type of policy, but when I got a hold of it, I was like, yeah, no, this is a completely different type of policy than what you told me that you thought you had. And they were devastated. So literally, I had to create a new policy that replaced their old policy. So hey, anything that's is not what you want, you can always get it corrected and get it replaced.
And then lastly, what is one or two things that you want to that if the listeners don't get anything else out of this, they need to get these things out of this episode?
You want to, I didn't say this specifically, so I'll say this. You want to save or invest at minimum 10% of your income. Every single time you receive an income, I don't care how small or how big, save or invest 10% of that. All right. And you can be saving some of that into an IUL where it's secure, it's safe, and you'll never lose a single dime, regardless of how poorly the economy may be doing. Regardless if there's a pandemic, your savings is secured 100%. Okay. And then the next thing I would say is the second point would be live according to the 5 pillars. Prioritize these. Now, being a man of faith, I'll say number 1 is God. Number 2 is family, finances, health, and freedom.
All right, I agree. And with that, I do want to say thank you again for coming on this episode, giving out all this wisdom for free to give to these listeners and hopefully to their families so they can live a more financial free and wealthy life, I guess you can say. But before I end this episode, I do want to give you a chance to promote anything or plug anything just so people can listen to you if they want to listen to you, or get more advice from you, or get a life insurance policy from you.
Absolutely. So the very first thing that I want you guys to do is connect with me on all your social media platforms. You guys can connect with me on Instagram at Dwayne.ceo. That's DWAYNE.CEO. You guys can connect with me on Facebook at Dwayne Wilson. My TikTok is Dwayne.ceo. And then also too, I'll even give you guys my cell phone number, so therefore you guys can be able to text me, be able to call me directly. And that is 708-829-3695. I'll repeat that one more time because I know you guys are writing it down. 708-829-3695. 3695. Shoot me a text message if you feel more comfortable that way. Give me a call, leave a voicemail for sure. And guess what, guys? I promise you that we can get you a policy or get the application submitted within just 48 hours, guys. All right. So we can, if you don't have coverage, we can get it done ASAP. If you do, we can get it checked and get it replaced if need be within that short period of time.
Nice. And I will say you are the first person, not just on my podcast, I think on any podcast where I heard them give out their phone number. So kudos to you for that. But again, I do want to say thank you again for coming out and spending this hour and a half or whatever it's been, giving out this knowledge and helping individuals, including myself, because I feel like I learn something new every time I have a guest on. So I'm super excited about this information and being able to use it for myself and use it to increase my family's wealth again. So again, thank you again. And as always, until next time, continue your journey until you reach your success. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of the Lazenby Experience podcast. I really hope you were able to receive valuable information that will help you take actionable steps to get you closer to achieving your goals. If this is true for you, I would really appreciate it if you share this episode with others, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to continue receiving updates on new episodes. I truly am excited about how my experience, the Lazenby Experience, can make a difference in your life. Again, thank you for listening to the Lazenby Experience podcast, and until next time, continue your journey until you reach your success.